A cordial greeting. Today is Sunday, November 23, 2025. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. Since the passage of Hurricane Melissa over Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas, the Atlantic and Pacific have not seen cyclonic activity or the development of new cyclones. This is completely normal for the month of November, which is usually one of the least active months of the hurricane season, and the hurricane season ends next Sunday, November 30th. Now, I am recording this video because some global models for several days have been showing the possibility of a low-pressure system developing to the east of Nicaragua, and in some runs, we have even seen them develop a tropical depression. And although the chances are definitely extremely low, I wanted to record this video to talk about what probabilities of development, if any, may exist during the upcoming week. The important thing is that at this moment there is no area of concern for tropical development, and in fact, the National Hurricane Center does not anticipate tropical cyclone development during the next 7 days, and it is very likely that Hurricane Melissa was the last cyclone of the season. Now, I wanted you to see that sea surface temperatures across the Caribbean Sea remain somewhat warm, between 28 and 29 degrees Celsius, and these temperatures are sufficient for tropical cyclones. However, as is typical during the month of November and represented in red in this image, the Caribbean Sea has strong wind shear that creates unfavorable conditions for tropical cyclone development. However, in about 7 days, a more favorable phase of the Madden-Julian Oscillation could move over the Caribbean region and briefly reduce wind shear. We can see that in the next image. For early December, the ensemble members of the European model project that wind shear could be below normal, specifically in the Western Caribbean Sea. And although the probability of tropical cyclone development for early December is definitely extremely low, I must mention that this is not entirely impossible. In fact, if we look at the historical record of tropical cyclone formation, since records exist, 2 tropical storms have formed in the Western Caribbean, and in some instances also in the Eastern and Central Caribbean. However, notice that in nearly 150 years of records, only 27 tropical storms have formed in the North Atlantic, and most have done so over subtropical Atlantic waters. And it is precisely because of the historical record that we know it is very difficult for a tropical cyclone to form, but it has happened in some years. So, let's look at the latest runs of the global models. Here we have the American model, which in approximately 7 days develops a low-pressure system northwest of Colombia. However, I should mention that the American model has a bias toward developing tropical cyclones early and late in the season, and most of the time this development does not occur. However, what catches our attention is that at times the European model and the Artificial Intelligence Version project, the development of a strong low-pressure system north of Panama and Costa Rica, although for the moment the European model does not develop a tropical depression. But very interestingly, the German model in the latest run does show the development of a strong low-pressure system, perhaps a tropical depression, in about 7 days north of Panama. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom model also shows a low-pressure area toward the western and northwestern parts of Colombia. But very importantly, although these models project the development of a low-pressure system in waters east of Nicaragua, right now none of them show the development of a tropical depression at least during the next 7 days. So, why will I be monitoring this area starting next weekend? It is because some members of the global model ensembles do see development. For example, in the ensemble members of the European model, approximately 5% of them show the development of a strong low-pressure system or tropical depression in about 8 to 10 days east of Nicaragua. However, notice that those that do show development keep it quite weak. Additionally, we also have the ensemble members of the American model, where between 5 to 10% of them develop a strong low-pressure system or perhaps a tropical depression in about 7 to 10 days. And very interestingly, the ensemble members of Google's artificial intelligence model, which has had exceptional performance this season, show that approximately 5% of them develop a tropical depression or tropical storm in about 7 to 10 days. And it is precisely because of this that I will be keeping an eye on what happens beginning this weekend. However, for the peace of mind of people living in Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, development probabilities at the moment remain extremely low, and for now the National Hurricane Center does not anticipate the development of a tropical cyclone. Here at Hurricane Info I will stay attentive to keep you informed of any changes that may occur in the projections. And for this reason, before I go, I wanted to ask you to give this video a like. Also, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell so you receive notifications when I record new videos. I hope you all have an excellent start to the week. See you later.